Hey, so I noticed that you guys seem to like it whenever I yap, and seeing as I wanted to get another video out this week, I figured I'd yap a little bit about something that happened to me. Now, I'm sorry for not doing this in Minecraft, but truthfully, I'm trying to avoid getting burnt out on it, so today I'm playing hit 2020 indie game Ultra Hill. Though that's not too important, that's not the focus of the video anyway, so it should be fine. But what I wanted to yap about today is something that happened during my senior year of high school. This is a story that I've only really told to like my best friend, my girlfriend, and my mom. And now here I am telling it to a bunch of strangers. Also, in the spirit of confessing things, I just wanted to let you know that we have a public Discord server where occasionally we do community events. And this month's current event is an anonymous confessions forum on Google Forms. Viewers can submit their anonymous confessions for a chance to have them featured in a video later down the line. So if that's something that interests you, make sure to join in the link in the description below. Anyways, here's the story of how I almost got expelled. So for a little bit of context, I've never ever had like any trouble in school. I was on like gifted kid to academic burnout pipeline, so really I had nothing like ever bad on my records. My grades were good, I never really got into any fights. Well, as long as you don't want to count one time, but that's pretty much besides the point. So yeah, I never really had any like trouble in school with either the law or academically. So it was a day just like any other. Nothing really big was planned for the day, except for the fact that I had an economics test. Now, a little bit of background about my economics teacher. I've known the guy for about 4 years. He was one of the first teachers that I had in high school. I'd like to say that we were pretty close. Well, I guess as close as it can be without a teacher and a student being weird, you know? But it was to the point where like I was selling the guy video games during passing periods because like he had an interest in that sort of stuff and I had that stuff, so. But you gotta understand that my economics teacher was a very lawful good man. That man followed rules to a T. Almost to the point that like he would just see how much he could get away with as long as it followed within the rules of whatever he was doing. And that was no different when it came time to his teaching job. Now, another thing you need to know about him is that he does not provide resources in his class. He believes that you should come to class prepared with anything that you need already, and if you need to get it while you're in class, then you should ask a classmate, not him. He will not have it on standby, trust me. So my first 2 classes of the day go by just about normally, and it comes time for me to go to my economics class. I got to class early, and while I was sitting there waiting for the test, I reach into my bag for my pen, only to discover that I had forgotten it that day. Hell, I had forgotten pretty much everything that day. Pretty much the only thing I had in my bag was my computer, a dull number 2 pencil, and a... Why did I have a you ask? Well, 1, because why the hell would the school care? But 2, it was because in my literature class, we had been working on posters recently, and I got tired of using the stupid dumb like baby scissors that they gave you. They're supposed to be for your safety or whatever. I didn't care. They're stupid and dumb and hard to use because I have big hands. So I told my group like, hey, these scissors suck. I'm gonna bring my from home. And it was chill. I'm like 99% sure that my literature teacher saw it, but she didn't really care, you know? So fast forward to that day, and the only writing utensil I have is not sharpened. And there is no sharpener in that class, courtesy of my teacher's bring your own stuff rule. So using my 200 IQ massive gamer brain, I decided, oh hey, I'm just gonna sharpen it with and that I did, in the open, without trying to conceal it at all. I don't know what was going through my head to be like, oh yeah, this is gonna be fine. But I thought it was going to be fine. And I was just about to be done sharpening the pencil when I heard a dude behind me. And hearing that dude, it just finally clicked with me like how much I might actually be screwed. So he starts talking to me about like, hey, why do you have that? And you know, I tried joking my way out of it, being like, oh, you don't see anything or whatever. It didn't work. When I say this man is lawful good, I mean it. He obeys every single code of being a teacher or whatever to like a T. So little did I know it was over before it began. So he's like, hey, look, just take your test. I gotta confiscate the don't worry about this for now. We'll talk after class. So I take my test, and by the way, I did great on it. I literally did perfectly, so I'm a god. And then class ends, and he basically like pulls me aside and he's like, look, because I'm a mandated reporter, I legally have to tell somebody about this. And I'm like, yeah, shit, I get it. And I think he could tell I was a little bit anxious because he's like, well, what's wrong? Like, tell me your concerns and I'll try to help a little bit. And you know, I'm just gonna say what I told him, which was, I'm literally like an ideal kid in terms of like behavior. And going from, hey, I am a pretty good student who like has no behavior issues to I technically had a on is not a good look. I think it's a pretty reasonable thing to be anxious about. But he assured me, he's like, hey, all right, I know I still have to report it, but God as my witness, I will not let it affect you. Which like is a pretty bold statement for a teacher to make who really has no like authority over the final decision. But oh well, it was what I needed to hear at the time, so I'm glad he said it. we shake hands, we part ways, and I go to lunch. At lunch, I was completely dead silent. I was too anxious to eat, let alone talk. So I just kind of like sat there and zoned out, listening to everybody like a podcast. And so lunch ends and I go to my peer tutoring class. Now in this class, I really didn't like do any work because, well, the teacher said I was a peer tutor, but really that just meant like, hey, occasionally pick up the phone for me. Otherwise you're free to do whatever, like sit on your phone in the back of the class, you're fine. And so I was on my computer just like working on stuff, just trying to keep my mind off of it. And the phone rings. And God bless my luck, this was the one time that the teacher was able to pick up the phone for himself. So he reaches over and picks up the phone, and while he's talking, he just like stares at me with some of the biggest, most exaggeratedly fearful eyes I've ever seen. Well, maybe not fearful, but you know, you could look in his eyes and you could just see that he had heard something that he was not expecting to hear. And so he goes, okay, I'll send him up right now, and hangs up the phone. And then he turns to me and he's like, hey, did you do something? And I'm gonna be completely honest, I lied my way the hell out of it. I was too embarrassed to like have him know what had happened so soon. So I told him like, oh, they're probably calling me up because I need to finish my like financial aid stuff, which might have been true. You know, I'd been really putting it off and I was ditching their little stupid meetings whenever they were trying to have me complete it in class. And he goes, oh, okay, no, that might make sense. But I was just confused because it was like the big bad counseling lady calling. And I'm like, uh-oh. So he sends me on my way to the big bad counseling lady, and I knew something was wrong the moment I got there. You see, the thing with my high school's counseling is that they suck. They had a reputation for being like horrendously slow. It was to the point where like you could get called up for the specific purpose of meeting with them, and they would still have you waiting another like 20 to 30 minutes outside their office. The thing was, that did not happen this time. There were people waiting for me. So I'm just like, ah, shit. So I get taken to the big bad counseling lady's office, and she's like, okay, look, I'm gonna have you sit down and write exactly what happened. Now, why I needed to write down what had already been told to her is beyond me. But she had me go sit in a corner and pull out my computer and write down what had happened. Now, I wrote it down in only like 2 or 3 sentences because like, you know, I had been watching a lot of like true crime stuff, and I was under the presumption that like, hey, I should treat this like how you're supposed to treat cops, where you're supposed to tell them like as little as possible while still being truthful. That being said, PSA, don't talk to cops, but that's whatever. That's besides the point. But so I finished writing down my little story, and I could kind of tell when she had noticed that I had submitted it because she read over my thing, saw how short it was, and she went, are you sure you don't have anything you want to add? And I was just like, no, not really, not particularly. Plus, like, I hadn't omitted anything. It was just what had happened. So then she like calls me from the little desk that she had me sit in the like corner of the room, and she has me sit in front of her. Now, why I needed to sit in the corner of the room in the first place is beyond me, but ah well. But basically she tells me, look, this could have been a lot worse. And then she describes that my economics teacher had basically come running in during lunch and was calling for her, even though I guess like normally he knows not to call her during lunch. So she knew it was serious. And as luck would have it, she just happened to be sitting down with my counselor separately at the time. So that was like really good timing, because he came up to her and he told her what happened, made sure to emphasize at the end that like, yeah, no, I know he wasn't going to use it for anything bad, but I needed to report it and I need to see what you can do to like minimize it, even though I have to report it. And as luck would have it, the counselor that she was sitting down with was the counselor that I had met with not even a week ago. And for whatever reason, he really seemed to like me. Like throughout the year, I ran into him a couple times and he seemed like he was chill with me. But yeah, they had both iterated that like, yeah, I'm a friendly kid. I didn't really do anything, nor would I have done anything. And like, I'm really grateful for that, because otherwise things would have worked out a lot worse. So she finishes telling me what my teacher and counselor had said. And then she says, okay, look, normally these would be grounds for immediate recommendation for being expelled. And in my head, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get suspended for a couple days, like at the very least. Like, this kind of sucks, but it's better than what I could have gotten, you know? But then she straight up is just like, but because you have like a clean record and you're not like a bad kid or whatever, and you have these people vouching for you, you're basically gonna be fine. But I do legally have to call your parents about this, so maybe if you want to call your mother and like get ahead of this. And I opted to call my mother and give in, because like, I'd rather tell her myself than like have her deal with it later. The thing was though, I shouldn't have said anything. I told my mom what happened and she called me a dumbass basically, and I'm like, yeah, I get it. But they literally never called her, so I could have gotten away with just not saying anything. And then the worst part was, like, I still think they were concerned about me being like so they like had me walked to my next class because the meeting had taken so long. And I was just like more embarrassed than anything, you know? More so just because I had like felt really stupid. Like I almost gave up being able to graduate and like attend high school over a goddamn pencil. For the record, by the way, I never got the back, but not that I really wanted it back at that point, mainly because I had another one exactly like it at home. But anyways, but yeah, so that was the time that I almost got expelled. This is a story that I've really only told to like my best friend, my mom, and my girlfriend before now. So yeah, here I am now telling it to a bunch of strangers on the internet. I guess moral of the story here is don't sharpen your pencil with a knife, and if you're gonna do it, make sure to do it with a teacher you're chill with. So yeah, I know it was a bit different from what I usually upload, but if you like this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. It gives me a little bit of feedback as to what you like, and it helps me out a lot. Of course, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to check out my other videos. I do a whole lot of yapping on this channel. This video just happened to be yapping about one specific thing. And again, if you are interested, we have a community Discord server with anonymous confessions open until the end of April. Also, please, oh please, do not DM me on Discord asking me to join your SMPs. I have anxiety, so I will not respond, and I don't want to join them. I'm sorry, but that's just how it is. Alright, anyways, thank you for watching, and have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.